So, Happy New Year to whoever decides to randomly watch this. I don't know why you would, but hey, um, I thought it would probably be a good idea to kind of summarise the year as a video rather than write it out because a lot's kind of happened. Overall, the year has been great. It's been interesting. There's been a lot going on as the 2017 kind of goes. Work's been crazy, and life generally has been kind of a lot of fun. It did end very chaotically. Everything was great until like the start of December. Then it went a bit to shit, and it got a lot better like Christmas time. But I think it actually gave me a lot of time to reflect on what life is and what you can either do with it or not do with it, as it were. My realization really is that your own interpersonal happiness, how you kind of perceive yourself and the world, and how you feel about yourself, it's fragile. It's it's something that can be easily destroyed. That can either be by something you personally think yourself. You may think derogatory towards yourself, or it may be because of an external factor. Something might have happened, someone might have happened, and that can make you kind of reevaluate what you think about yourself. That's kind of happened with me in both senses of the word. So it's happened in regard to me meeting someone and then me thinking something and then it turns out not to be right, but also my own personal opinion of myself has kind of changed. In December I had a real dark couple of weeks. I drank a lot, primarily because I kind of wanted to get away from what I thought about the negative side of me, I think. And I just, over time, kind of got used to bad things happen. And for a couple of weeks, I kind of forgot about that. I kind of sat there and went, "Oh, this is destined to happen forever," sort of thing, and it just isn't. Uh, Good things will always come around the corner from something bad. I think someone always used to say that when you're held back, it's kind of like an arrow. It's going to ping you off into something new and fresh, and that kind of seems like what this year is going to be. I'm not one for New Year's resolutions. Never have been. I've always been. I kind of had the thought that resolutions are meant to be broken, so don't make them. It should be a lifestyle choice. You should be changing your lifestyle to kind of suit you and your life, rather than going, oh no, it's a new year, I should change this. Like, if you want to make a change, it shouldn't be due to the start of a calendar year. If you want to change something about yourself or your life, you should just do it. You shouldn't have to wait until the new year for something, because now someone's going to, if you were to do that, you're going to wait until, oh, I've just made a big mistake. No, well, I'll wait till next year and then it'll be fine again. It doesn't work like that. If there's something about your life that you want to change, if it's something that you're doing, someone in it, change it. If there's someone in your life that you don't want to be there, get rid of them. It's, at the end of the day, you are going to be stuck with yourself for the rest of your life, obviously. If you can't make yourself happy, it's not fair for you to try and make someone else do that for you. If you're not comfortable in the skin you're in, you need to change that. You need to find help in either from friends and family or from another external source. You can't rely on being made, I don't know, whole by someone else. That's not how it works, because you're just destined for failure if that's what you think. Like, sure, you can find parts of you in other people, and that's usually a good thing in terms of keeping them in your life, but you already want to have those parts. You don't want to be an uncompleted puzzle and then someone else being the rest of that, because then it means you'll be incredibly dependent on someone else, and that's not what you should be. You should be very independent. Well, I know I am personally. I just feel like perhaps other people should be the same, but hey, that's just me. It may not be you. I think another thing I realised a long time ago, but it's come back to the forefront recently, is that you always cling on to negative things more than you do positive things. There are a lot. So if you were to write a list, like a personal list of things that are good about yourself and bad about yourself, or good things that you've done and bad things that you've done, you 9 times out of 10, I would say, we would make that list, that negative list, far larger than the positive, which I think is quite a bizarre concept. But with practice, that may reduce. we always forget some of the nice things we've done in life, um, or maybe we're not told about it, so we don't really hold on to it. Whereas the negative stuff will always tend to come back. If you've ever had done something negative to someone in your life, you may have an argument, it may get re-raised. Whereas good things don't tend to happen so much, and it means that negativity can kind of consume us for what we are for a very long period of time, and because of that, because of all the negativity that we focus on, it's easier for us to focus on what could have been and things we could have done differently rather than what we can now create. So we sometimes don't make the best of the situations we're in. I know I don't, and instead think about, oh, what would have happened if the situation happened differently, and what could I have done with that, rather than now focus on what we've got and then make the best out of that as we can. It's something I've had to deal with more recently, is that when I get in a hole or get sucked into an abyss, which happens, it happens more frequently than I'd like it to, I always focus on what could have been. I was like, well, or I wasted all my time doing this, that, or the other, when actually I could have done this. What's the point in that? It's done. You cannot change that, even if you'd like to. What you need to do is kind of grab the bull by the horns, horse by the reins, whatever, and focus on what you have and what you can change, rather than things that you can't. Unfortunately, though, the past is, or may be, inescapable for some of us. Just because you cannot escape something bad that may have happened in your past, it doesn't mean it's not rewritable. Don't let the past kind of dictate your life now. Everyone has regrets. For example, my nan died, I think it's 6 years ago, in 2011, and I was a lot of things I wish I could have said to her that I didn't, and because of that, and because of a lot of other things, me and my dad had a terrible relationship for a long period of time. But I told him about that over the Christmas break, and it helped rewrite a lot of feelings because of that. So it was a big stepping stone, and it shows that you can adjust things that have happened by your actions now. You don't have to just sit there and linger on them and say, oh, because this has happened, I must, it's going to have a terrible consequence for the rest of my life. Terrible things happen. The thing is that people say, leopards can't change its spots and people can't change, but of course people change. We totally change from the environment we're in. We change in accordance to the people we surround ourselves with. If we surround ourselves with people that don't do anything but negative things, that's who we will become, just by something we're comfortable with. You will do what you're comfortable with. When do we go out of our comfort zones? Generally, there are a lot of people that, of course, want to do new things and stuff, but as the general thing, we like to do what's comfortable. Why would we want to exert ourselves to something we're not familiar with? So familiarity can be good, but it can also be detrimental if you surround yourself with the wrong sort of people. What we all need to kind of remember is, what I definitely need to remember, is that we all, regardless of who we are, regardless if you suffer with depression or if you don't, or if, you just occasionally get sad sometimes. Everyone does that. We all have our own issues that we have to deal with. To you, an issue of someone, or a problem that someone else is facing, may seem ridiculous. It may seem stupid in comparison to something that you're currently under pressure with. But you need to kind of remember that everyone has their own form of Everest that they have to climb. It may seem like a mud hill to you, but to them it might be Mount Everest. So you have to support them in that. You have to support friends and family in something that you may find small, but to them it might be incredibly significant. And you need to kind of remember that fact. It's easy for me to forget. I know this, and I've done it many times when people have asked for advice, and because I've thought it was so small in comparison to something that I was kind of struggling with, I just kind of waved it off. But you can't do that. You just kind of need to remember that when you support someone, you need to push them to go a little bit further than the previous day. Sure, for example, when someone has an incredibly bad breakup or a divorce, or they don't get the grades they want, initially it's going to be horrifically damaging to your mental health. But you need to remember, if you stay in that same spot, it's never going to get better. Whereas if you actually try, just a teeny bit every day, it means eventually you will feel better over something that had such a massive negative impact. It's a new year, and even though people shouldn't use a new calendar year as an excuse to start changing things, let's just use that as an example here to do it for the sake of it. It's it's important that if you're upset, you talk to someone about it. For the first time ever, when something bad happened to me, the end of the month, start of the December, I opened up to my housemates. Like, they saw me. I think they probably saw me cry for the first time. So, and if I didn't do that, I would be in a much worse place than I am now. Um, I guess my thought was that I don't think anyone cares that much. So, excuse me. So I don't tend to talk about it to anyone. I don't talk about it to my mum too much because I don't want to bother her. Um, we all have our own problems, and I don't want to have to then mount mine on someone else's. Maybe a lot of people feel like that. I don't know. That's just how I feel. But I've realised that talking to friends and things is that actually that's not the case, and that they're your friends to help you. If you're with them or you're around them and they don't help you through things, then they're not a friend. So if your true friends will help you through anything. And what you need to kind of do, if you have something that's bothering you, talk to someone, because it makes things a lot better and a lot more manageable. Towards the end of the year, I had no motivation to go back to work. I had no motivation to really do anything. Whereas now I am incredibly driven. I want to finish, in just over a year, I'll hopefully be a doctor, and I'll hopefully not be in the country anymore. Because what I want is I want to get work experience in another country, preferably either Europe or Canada. That's what I want, and I'm so driven by that now. It's keeping everything kind of, in perspective, as it were. So, yeah, I just kind of want to summarise and say that we all get emotional. It's a normal thing. I think I tried for a long time to kind of hide it, and it's not healthy. But we all get sad. We all do things that we might, regret in time. If you haven't, then you will at some point, probably. It's just important to remember that it's completely normal to be sad. Like, I know a lot of men, we can't be upset. It's against the cultural norm. We must have a stiff upper lip all the time, and it's just not healthy. That's why a lot of men suffer in silence, because we feel like we can't talk to anyone, because we feel like we have to be strong for everyone. Like, if we're with dads or older brothers or whatever, you have to no, I don't get upset. I'm a strong person for them, but it's okay to be upset. It's fine. It's so difficult for me. Like, for me to open up about things is nigh on impossible at times. If I don't know you, then it's impossible for you to get things out of me, really, unless I voluntarily want to use it to help others. But yeah, it's a new year. It's going to be hopefully a pretty good one. I know, like, last year maybe for some wasn't the best, but this one is probably going to be quite good. And for me, it's looking quite nice. So hopefully for others, it will be for you. But at the end of the day, the year is what you make of it. What you put into something is what you get out. If you don't try all that much to either, work hard for a career or work hard to get better and feel better, then you won't get better. Whereas someone who works at it every single day will do better and will succeed more and will be happier generally. And disaster strikes, it hits us all, and bad things happen, and we just kind of have to embrace that, and it makes us stronger. Things that don't work out are still helpful if you learn from them. If you don't learn from it, then it was useless. So if you go into a situation that you thought was going to work out and then it doesn't, that may suck, but if you learn from that and go, oh, okay, it didn't work because of this, or someone didn't accept you for who you were, then that's fine. That's not your problem, that's theirs. I think more recently I kind of realised what I'm worth, and as a person, because I used to be a twat, but now I think I'm a decent human being. I learned a lot from that. I'm happy. I'm happy with who I am as an individual. Rather than being kind of uncomfortable with what I do or who I represent. So, but yeah, so clearly I'm blabbering. I wanted to kind of just say it from the heart and the head, rather than have rather than thinking about writing it for a while. So I hope it helps anyone. I will be back in writing soon. Work starts tomorrow, so it's going to be a bit hectic. But yeah, so Happy New Year to anyone who decides to watch this. I hope you are well. I hope you had a lovely Christmas. And if you enjoy my writing, thanks very much. I really appreciate it. You can contact me if you want. I'm all right. I'm fine. But yeah, so enjoy January. I'm now planning to go away for my birthday next month, which is keeping me busy. It's always good to have something to look forward to, and that will be what that is for me, because I know the next couple of months are going to be quite full on. So it's important that you do that for yourselves as well. So yes, Happy New Year. Enjoy the cold, and yeah, I'll speak to you soon. Bye.